Well, former NBA star chatted with Yahoo Finance's AIkiko Fujita. She's joining us now to tell us all about her interview with the basketball star. Hey, AIkiko.
Hey there, Kristen. Yeah, we did speak to Chris Bosh, which many remember, of course, as the two-time champion of the Miami Heat. Certainly a timely conversation, given that we're going into Game 5, where potentially the Lakers could close out the season. And there's no question this has been a really momentous season for the league, particularly from the standpoint of social activism. You'll all recall that 3-day protest that players led in response to Jacob Blake's shooting this summer. You now have a lot of these NBA arenas being turned into voting sites going into November 3rd. Chris Bosh himself has been very active from the outside looking in. He recently penned this article talking about how a visit to Selma, Alabama, when he was really young, inspired him to educate people about the importance of voting. He was also part of a group of former athletes that successfully pressured the NCAA into giving student athletes the day off on November 3rd. No practices, no games, so that they could actually go out to the polls and vote. So player activism, certainly nothing new, but there is a sense here that the collective voices of these players in the bubble this season has really elevated the voices of those who have largely been marginalized. I asked Chris what he thinks has specifically changed as a result of the activism of these current NBA players.
Well, I mean, I think, it's just reached a tipping point, not only with the players, but with America in general. Seeing another black man getting killed at the hands of police, it just drove everything over. And it was really those two in the matter of 1 week that really sent America over the top. I mean, I think it will be a year-by-year measure. I think it's one of those things to where, you can't really judge the success, because just like anything that's fresh and new, there's going to be some stumbles out the gate, possibly. There's going to be lessons to learn. I would just like to see it continue to grow, really. I think that's the biggest implementation in this, because year after year, we're going to get a turnaround of new student athletes and new young people that have the exercise or have the right to vote and use their exercise to vote and all those good things.
Now, in terms of where the NBA is going next season, we did hear from NBA Commissioner Adam Silver this week saying that those Black Lives Matter signs that we've seen throughout the playoffs, as well as the messages on player jerseys as it relates to social justice, will not be continued into the next season. And I asked Chris what he thought of that. And he said, look, the NBA is still a business and we players understand that. But he also said that Adam Silver has been instrumental in empowering a lot of these players to speak out. And Kristen, one interesting stat to leave you with here, for all of this talk of activism among players, when you look to the last election, just 20% of players who were eligible to vote actually voted. And over the last few months, we've seen that number increase significantly. And now 90% of current players have been registered to vote. So we've seen a lot of changes within the players' viewpoint as well as a result of what's been playing out.
Wow, that's actually some incredible stats. I had a really quick question for you, AIkiko. We've got Game 5 tonight. Wondering if Chris spoke about the impact of coronavirus on the NBA. We are seeing that, unfortunately, sideline some games over in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and the NBA has really been the success story in all of this because of that bubble that they created. And one interesting note Chris mentioned is that, look, a lot of these players, yes, they get paid a lot of money to be playing the games that they do, but the bubble has been really a difficult situation, given that in between losses, for example, players don't have families to turn to. They don't have places to go. And so this has really been taxing on the players as well. But as we look to Game 5, you could certainly point to the NBA coming up with a successful plan. At least that's the hope for Adam Silver, although he did say, look, we've got at least one more game tonight. Potentially, Miami could push it to another game. And so they're not counting their success just yet. But certainly a really unusual season, and the NBA is certainly hoping to wrap things up successfully.
Unusual is definitely the word for 2020. Thanks so much, AIkiko Fujita.